In a region where power often disappears overnight and leaders are replaced before dawn, Ibrahim Traoré has remained firmly in control, despite facing multiple coup plots, international pressure, and active insurgencies. He has only grown more resilient. So what exactly is shielding him? Is it just military strength, hidden strategies, or something even deeper? When the last coup attempt in Burkina Faso began, it wasn't marked by immediate gunfire. It started with whispers, radios going silent, communication lines suddenly inactive, and an uneasy quiet spreading through army camps. But when the dust finally settled, Traoré was still in power, and the conspirators were already behind bars. That wasn't coincidence, it was preparation. More crucially, it was about loyalty. What truly protects Traoré isn't just weapons or intelligence, it's something most African heads of state dream of but rarely achieve: unwavering military alignment. This loyalty doesn't come from fear or corruption, it comes from belief. At the heart of this protection is an elite force known as the Cobra unit. These soldiers aren't just guarding a man, they're safeguarding a mission. They weren't trained in sterile government offices. They were forged in combat, fighting insurgents along the nation's northern borders. And when things got tough, Traoré wasn't watching from a safe distance. He was in the trenches with them, wearing the same uniform and facing the same risks. Unlike many regimes that divide military power among factions, Traoré has brought it under a single vision: absolute sovereignty. Officers are promoted not for their connections, but for how deeply they align with this nationalist ideology. It's a system designed to filter out opportunists and elevate true believers. Over time, he's restructured the country's military. From top to bottom, entire battalions have been repositioned into high-risk zones, not only to battle insurgents, but to re-establish state presence where the government had long vanished. Foreign dependence has been cut out entirely. Gone are the foreign trainers, foreign advisors, and NATO oversight. In their place stands a leaner, self-reliant defense force built through local intelligence and regional alliances. Training now happens on home soil. Arms are sourced from new, strategic partners, and military strategy is guided by a new doctrine, one focused on resisting external domination. But here's the part that truly defies expectations. Despite several attempts to destabilize his rule, no plot has successfully infiltrated his top military circle. In a region notorious for betrayal and backroom coups, this is nearly unheard of. The secret may lie in how Traoré treats his military. Instead of seeing them as a threat to be managed, he's made them part of the revolution. Every victory is framed as theirs. Every threat is a threat to the ideals they fight for. This emotional investment has created something rare: a military that doesn't just protect its leader. It protects a purpose. If Traoré were to fall, the dream they've fought for would collapse with him. But even the most loyal army can't govern alone. Guns protect borders, but legitimacy must come from within the nation's soul. And that's where Traoré's second layer of power comes in: popular support. Across Burkina Faso, the people have refused to let him fall. This isn't blind loyalty, it's the power of shared purpose. In a nation that's seen its resources stolen and its dignity traded for foreign debt, Traoré represents something else: a break from the past. Step into Ouagadougou today and you'll see more than just political posters. You'll see murals of Thomas Sankara alongside portraits of Traoré, not commissioned by the state, but painted by the people. In him, many see the return of a defiant spirit long thought lost. He's cut ties with France, pulled Burkina Faso out of ECOWAS, rejected Western financial aid, and begun charting a course rooted entirely in African identity and pride. To the public, these aren't just policy moves, they're acts of reclamation. They represent a generation's revenge against decades of exploitation. When rumors of a coup surfaced in early 2025, it wasn't just the army that responded, it was the citizens. Ordinary people took to the streets, not in protest, but in defense. Unaffiliated youth, mothers, merchants, and workers surrounded key government buildings. They weren't ordered, they simply showed up. That kind of mobilization doesn't come from political marketing. It comes from emotional wounds and the hope of healing them. For too long, Burkina Faso was told it couldn't rise. Its gold had to be shipped away unrefined. Its education had to come from abroad. Its leadership had to answer to Paris. Now, finally, a leader is saying no, and the people are echoing that no across marketplaces, classrooms, mosques, and social media platforms. Even the diaspora from Mali to France is standing up, raising funds, sharing his speeches, and demanding his revolution not be silenced. This new civic awakening has flipped the traditional power dynamic. In most countries, when a leader falters, people step back. In Burkina Faso today, if Traoré falters, the people step forward. That's a nightmare for foreign interests. You can silence a general, you can bribe a minister, but you cannot assassinate the will of a crowd. And this crowd, this movement, is no longer confined within borders. It has become part of something much larger, a regional front. The Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a coalition between Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger is now the third shield around Traoré. This alliance isn't a symbolic club, it's a defensive wall forged through shared trauma. These three nations have all experienced coups, insurgencies, and betrayal. Together, they've said, never again. They're now building integrated military frameworks, synchronizing command protocols, and developing cross-border strategies. If one nation is attacked militarily or politically, it is considered an attack on all. That collective security agreement raises the stakes for any foreign power thinking about destabilization. There's no longer an easy coup to transition strategy. Now, any interference risks igniting a regional conflict. But the alliance doesn't stop with defense. It's building an alternative system economically, politically, and ideologically. These nations have rejected ECOWAS, questioned the relevance of the CFA franc, and begun discussions around shared currency frameworks. More importantly, they're investing in resource control, refining their own minerals instead of exporting raw value. Abroad, in every sense, this movement is post-colonial, post-dependency, and post-apology. And at the center of it all stands Ibrahim Traoré, protected not just by soldiers, not just by supporters, but by an entire ideological shift that's sweeping across the Sahel. Taking him down now would mean declaring war on a people, a vision, and a growing alliance. It's not just one man they'd be targeting, it's a revolution. The current wave sweeping through West Africa is more than political. It's a challenge to the very economic order once ruled by foreign interests. Countries like Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, are no longer content with simply resisting. They're building their own systems, from media to military, economy to ideology. Instead of relying on Western-backed broadcasters, these nations now use state-supported media channels to echo each other's messages, control the narrative, and expose destabilization plots before they can take root. In this tightly woven fabric of regional cooperation, Traoré has evolved beyond the title of president. He's become a central symbol of an emerging anti-imperial movement backed by geographic strength, ideological conviction, and military synchronization. In this new reality, if Traoré falls, it's not just one man's downfall, it threatens the entire structure of the Alliance of Sahel States. AES, his counterparts in Mali and Niger, don't just hope for his survival, they are politically tied to it. This is no ordinary alliance forged in diplomatic conference rooms. It was born in conflict, shaped by shared history, and held together by the knowledge that their collective enemy isn't merely insurgency, but a long legacy of foreign manipulation. Yet, even this military and regional armor isn't enough to neutralize every danger. Traoré's security doesn't stop with soldiers or speeches, it reaches into a murky realm rarely discussed, preemptive intelligence. While the military guards the front lines and citizens hold the streets, a more silent, calculated defense operates behind the scenes. Before a coup can even be whispered, before strategy meetings happen in secret, someone close to Traoré already knows. What protects him in a region haunted by abrupt power shifts isn't just muscle. It's an intelligence web built for speed, stealth, and ideological loyalty. This isn't the typical bureaucracy heavy with red tape. It's fast-moving, nimble, and brutal when necessary. Field agents, military insiders, cyber monitors, and embedded operatives form the backbone of this network. They aren't working for a paycheck, they're driven by a revolutionary cause. Since Traoré came to power, numerous attempts have been made to unseat him. Some involved high-ranking officers, others had links to foreign agendas. Yet in each case, the threat was neutralized swiftly and without chaos. No dramatic gunfights, no breakdown of public order, just surgical action arrests, disappearances, and a chilling message: we knew before you acted. This isn't mere surveillance, it's infiltration. His intelligence arm is inside the very rooms where betrayal is conceived, making it nearly impossible for plots to blossom. The security machine also keeps a watchful eye beyond Burkina Faso's borders, with growing distrust of embassies and foreign NGOs, especially those with histories of questionable involvement. Some diplomatic staff have been quietly expelled or placed under discreet surveillance. Movements are tracked, financial channels monitored. Public calm masks private vigilance. For this government, nothing is a coincidence. Every signal is considered a potential threat. One of the most formidable tools in this ecosystem, however, is narrative warfare. Through strategic media leaks, digital disinformation, and carefully timed revelations, the government controls not just what people believe, but how conspirators behave. When rumors of coups surface, they're often swiftly followed by anonymous disclosures, photos, recordings, messages that erode trust among plotters and reinforce loyalty among citizens. Whether these leaks are genuine or crafted matters little. Their psychological impact is undeniable. Still, no amount of security is effective without a foundation of purpose. What fuels these efforts isn't just fear of collapse, it's belief. That belief doesn't come from uniforms or weapons. It comes from something rooted in history, something Burkina Faso has carried since the days of Thomas Sankara. For decades, his legacy cast a long shadow over the country. Monuments were raised, quotes repeated, but the revolutionary fire he lit had been dim until Traoré arrived. When this young captain began speaking Sankara's language, not just in words, but in vision, something shifted. He promised dignity. He rejected external control. He vowed never to let his nation be puppeteered again. These weren't hollow slogans, they were codes, spiritual echoes of a past unfinished. And the people responded. They didn't just cheer, they connected. Across towns and villages, murals began to appear, Sankara on one side, Traoré on the other. It wasn't nostalgia, it was succession. The people had chosen who would carry the torch forward. This ideological continuity is what makes Traoré's regime far harder to crack. In many countries, power structures are brittle. Remove the head, and the system crumbles. But in Burkina Faso, belief has taken root in the people. It's not confined to politics, it's cultural, it's emotional, it's in the music, in the language of protest, in the classrooms and homes. That kind of national consciousness can't be dismantled with bullets. When ideology runs this deep, it becomes a form of psychological immunity. You can remove a president, you can tear down flags, but you can't erase conviction. For those who would seek to overthrow him, the danger isn't just resistance, it's moral exposure. A betrayal now would feel like treason, not only against a man, but against a dream. That's why Traoré's public addresses feel more like ceremonies than policy briefings. He doesn't just inform, he invokes. He reminds his people that they are enough, that foreign aid is not salvation, that agricultural self-sufficiency is not a luxury, but a right, and that the future belongs to Africans who dare to reclaim it. These aren't just populist stances, they're ideological weapons, crafted to fortify minds, not just borders. This ideological fire is spreading beyond Burkina Faso, across West Africa, in digital spaces and physical gatherings. Traoré has become more than a leader, he's become a reference point, a symbol of what post-colonial defiance might look like if it stopped apologizing, stopped begging, and started building. That symbolic weight is now a deterrent in itself. Removing him is no longer a simple political operation. It would be seen as a direct attack on a broader movement, a movement rooted in African dignity. And that risk is now too high for many external forces to entertain. Ultimately, it's not just Traoré's speeches, alliances, or military strategy that keeps him secure. It's the ideological force that surrounds him. This kind of protection doesn't fade with terms or treaties. It lives on in the consciousness of a people. Once that belief is born in rallies, in prayers, in ancestral memory, it becomes a shield no bullet can pierce and no bribe can bend. So the question remains, is Ibrahim Traoré protected by the power of the people or by the fear of what might come after him? Can a collective belief in dignity, independence, and defiance truly stop coups, bullets, and betrayal? One thing is certain, this is no longer just about one man. It's about an awakening, and awakenings are hard to silence.